Slave traders were very powerful in England, but how powerful were they? You could not imagine that. Let alone knowing their power. Even we did not hear more than 300 years Atlantic slave trade of European powers, at least until 2009. From mid 15th century to early 19th century, Atlantic slave trades more than 300 years of European powers is one of the most is one of the tragic period of the history of mankind. Slave traders were then the wealthiest men of the time. Slave traders, slave owners were the part of the government. One son of a slave trader became Prime Minister of England. Queen Elizabeth I was a sponsor of the slave trader. We must heard about ancient slave trade, medieval slave trade, but we hardly heard about European more than 300 years slave trade or Atlantic slave trade. I will read you some facts from which you could at least guess a bit about what power then exercised by the slave traders or slave owners in Britain. William Gladstone became Prime Minister of Britain in 1868. William Gladstone's father, John Gladstone, was one of the powerful slave owners in Britain in early 19th century. William Gladstone served for 12 years as Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. William Beckford was another slave owner of Britain. He was twice Lord Mayor of London. John Tarleton was an English ship owner and slave trader. He was Mayor of Liverpool in 1764. Sir Abraham Elton. Yes, there is Sir title before the name. Sir Abraham Elton became Bristol Mayor in 1710. He also became MP for Bristol. In the mid to late 1700s, there were 50 MPs in British Parliament who presented the slave plantations. University College London pays on the legacies of British slave ownership. They wrote, University College London also penned online encyclopedia on the legacies of British slave ownership. On their page they wrote, quote, Colonial slavery shaped modern Britain and we all still live with its legacies. Unquote. Many slave traders were the wealthiest men of that time. One slave trader became the England's first millionaire. Many slave traders invested money in politics. Many involved with politics to protect their vast estates run by slaves. Many slave traders invested or spent money to make roads, bridges, hospitals, schools, other educational institutions, and other different kind of institutions. Slave traders become heavy backers of Britain's industrial invention. Bristol of England was the number one slave trade port in the world then. Later, passing Bristol, Liverpool became the number one slave trade port in the world then. Bristol became Britain's biggest slave trading ports during the 1730s and 1740s. Many cities in UK like Bristol, Liverpool, London, and Glasgow were flourished by huge money generated from slave trade in Britain. Slave trader Hewitt Brothers launched a bank which is today part of Royal Bank of Scotland. Other merchants towards the Other merchants followed the Hewitt brothers. Today, Barclays, NatWest, and HSBC all have root financing in the slave trade. Now I want to read a part of a paper from Professor Stuart Anderson. Stuart Anderson is a teacher of the London School of Hygiene and Tropical Medicine. Professor Stuart Anderson presented a paper on slave trade, British slave trade in Gresham College. Now I want to read a bit from his paper about the British slave trade involvement. He wrote, John Hawkins is considered the founder of the British slave trade. His first voyage to West Africa and the Caribbean began in 1561. He formed a syndicate of wealthy merchants to invest the slave trade and set sail with three ships for the Caribbean. They attacked and captured a Portuguese slave ship and sold the 301 slaves on board in Santo Domingo in the Dominican Republic. For his second voyage in 1564, the Queen Elizabeth I, yes, the Queen Elizabeth I loaned him a large vessel. Name name of the vessel is the Jesus of Lubet, and he was dubbed Queen Elizabeth's slave trader. Queen Elizabeth's slave trader.